Alright, we are back again, and we want to now work on the last part, and then that is getting the timeline post. Or you see, when you get on Facebook basically, and then you can go onto someone's profile and then see the post on that person's timeline. So that is what we want to work on now, right? We could set up the route, but no, let us go into the post.service and then set up the services for that instead. Okay, so I'll just come here and then copy this, and here I'll say get timeline posts. Okay, so for the get timeline post, how do we do that? This place is basically going to take a body parameter instead, right? Now here's how we're going to do stuff. I'm going to clear this real quick. Then here we're going to first of all get the current user. Okay, so let's create our constants here. So user const current user await user gets find by id. No, not user activation. So user model, right? I think we've already imported. Okay, we've not imported that yet, so we can just do this and bring it out. I prefer to have it written in a capital letter. Then over here I'll come and change it for over here, and then here I'll say what find by what id, right? Now how are we going to find it? We're going to find it through the body, right? So we're going to be passing it through the body. So I'll say body dot what user id basically. Now that we have this, we want to come and say const user posts, right? Now say user posts, then over here we can await the post. Okay, post model dot what find. Okay, now how are we finding this? We're going to find it by querying the user id out. Okay, now the user id that we are querying now, where are we going to get it from? We're going to get it from this current user that we are getting from the body dot id, right? Okay, now that we've been able to get this running, what do we do next? Now we want to be able to keep our friends post, right? So you can say friends posts or timeline posts in general, right? So you can say timeline posts instead. So timeline posts is equal to what we're going to await then promise. We'll use promise all because of the mappings that we're going to do inside, right? So here promise all, we promise all, then what else do we do? Right after promise, right inside the promise all method, we can set up the current user here dot what following. So followings the map. Okay, following the map. Then over here, what can we do? We can now pick out the friend id, right? So the timeline push, we're going to map through this current user that we have here, his followings array, and then we're going to map through and take the friend id. Okay, so we are going to do this. Then over here we can just return the post, right? The post that we get, right? So post model, then we are going to find okay, so the user id, then the friend id that we get here. Okay, so basically what is going on in here is, so here let us finally return what the timeline posts in general. Okay, so now that we have this working as we expect, okay, what are we going to do? Okay, so basically we are returning this, right? We are returning this. So okay, fine, we're going to have to do some extra responses or extra things to our response when we're bringing them out. So I'm just going to end it right here, and then we'll go into the controllers and then try to handle the things from that side also. Okay, so now that we know this, let us just, it's already exported. I'm going to go into the post controller here, and then I'm going to const export this. So now that we have this, I'm going to say what, get timeline posts controller. Okay, now that we have this, I can see timeline posts, get timeline posts. So I'm going to say request our body, then what do we do now? Over here we can bring out the timeline posts. Okay, but we don't just we can't just bring them out like that, right? Let me do this real quick. So send, we're sending a response, right? You're sending a response, the status of what, 200, and then we are saying that inside, you're saying that inside this response, the status, the 200, right? We are sending a JSON. Okay, then inside this JSON, what are we passing? We are passing in the timeline posts. Okay, alright, we are sending the timeline posts, but you can see that if we do it like this, right, fine, we are supposed to get the timeline posts, but they are not just going to come out like that, right? So we need to pass in like certain methods to help us receive the data in the right format, right? So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to go back into the services here. I'm going to go back. So I'm going to come, no, post service, not user service here. So over here, we can take this timeline post here, right? And then just come here and say user post that we have dot what, we can concat them, right? We can concatenate them. Then inside we can pass in an object of what, the timeline posts that we are getting. Do you get me? The one that we map to, we can get it like this. Now that we've been able to work with these ones, when we go back into the controller, the post controller here, you'd realize that we'll get the data in the right format that we deserve to find them, right? So over here we can put it inside an array, say timeline posts. Okay, then I can say message, then what, timeline posts fetched successfully. Okay, successfully. Okay, alright. Now that we have this, we can now go and test. Okay, so how do we test this? I'm gonna go into my Postman. Okay, it's not opened. I don't know why. Let's close it. Okay, let's open it again. Okay, it is here now. I'm going to have to switch accounts. Okay, so it is opening up. Okay, so inside the post here, we can create. Okay, we forgot to do something. Inside the post route here, we needed to set up the one for getting the timeline post here. So get timeline posts. Okay, then you can see timeline posts. Okay, then we can now officially test it. Okay, so over here you can add a new request. Let's add a new request. So this request name is going to be get timeline posts. Okay, get timeline posts. Then over here we can pass in the user ID of the user that is you can pass in the user ID of the user that is being followed. Okay, so we can create a post basically. If I go into the database right now, I'm gonna go into mine. If I go into mine, we have the YT social app here. Looking inside the posts here, we have just likes and no one is actually following anyone here. So we can create post and say this post is from Kofi 1. And I'll say this post is from Kofi 2. Okay, then we can set it up for Amma as well. So I can take where's Amma? So I can come for Amma's user ID here. Amma's user ID. Amma. Let me see. Do we have we have Amma and we have Amma 1, Amma 2. Okay, now that we have the post for Amma and all these ones, we can work on the follow and the follow. So follow here, we can take the user ID that we have in here for Amma, and then we can follow Kofi, right? So let's make Amma follow Kofi real quick. Okay, so Amma is following Kofi now. Let's check. Okay, so for the following tier we have what? Amma has one follower, which is what? Kofi is following Amma already. Okay. Okay, so we already have Kofi following Amma already here. So Kofi being the follower and Amma having a follower of. Okay, sure. So now what we are going to do is we can take Kofi's user ID here, and then we can come here and then pass in the user ID of Kofi. Right, and then we can send, and then we should be able to get the timeline posts of Amma and Kofi all together. Okay, so if I clear this section and reverse the row, I believe it should work regardless. So I have this followings. Okay, let's clear this. Okay, so now we've been able to clear up the followers and following array for each of them. First one, Kofi was following Amma. Now Amma has to follow Kofi. So what happens is I'll go to follow user. I'll go to follow user here, and then I'll make whose user ID. So Amma is now following Kofi, right? Pick this, drop it here, and then we already have Kofi's user ID here. I'll drop it inside the params. Okay, so it looks like they're already there. Then I would I'll just follow. Okay, then we can refresh. Okay, so now see, so now since we have the followings and the followers. No, this isn't right. We need to fix this. We need to make sure that whenever we do our pushes, we are pushing this one into the followers array here, not inside the followings. Right, it's rather the other way around. So inside the user service here, we can go back and check the follow. Okay, so we are saying that if the user ID they cannot follow yourself. Okay, well, let's try this. Now we are waiting the user model by taking the user data from the body and the current user. Okay, we are finding by the update data.id. Okay, now we are saying if this user that we are passing through the user ID, if inside its followers array includes the user data, which is what we are passing through the body. Okay, so if we are saying that if it includes it, or if it doesn't include it, right? If it doesn't include it, then it should send a message that says what you have already followed this user, right? Which is wrong. So if it doesn't include it, it should do this instead. Then if it does, it should send this message, right? Okay, so that is okay. And then let's look at this one. It says user.update1. Then we push what inside the followers. We want to push in the user data that's user ID instead. Okay, user ID instead. And then over here we want to rather put the update data dot id rather. Okay, so now that we've been able to set this up, we can check the same thing for here. So inside here we can pull the followers that is inside the user data here. Okay, and then over here let's say user ID, and then over here it's going to be the update data dot id. Okay, now that we've been able to fix that, let us go into the database and then clear this catastrophe. Okay, now that we have this cleared, we can test again. Okay, so I'm going to follow. Okay, so we can go and check. No, this is wrong. No, this is wrong. Let us check it well. I'm not sure. Okay. Inside this, so it has to be here instead. So the current user dot update one, and then this user. Okay, then let us go back and clear. Okay, then let's push. Okay, let's go back and check. Alright, so inside the followings here we have what? And then yes, so now Amma is following Kofi as expected, right? Now we need to change the position here to as well so that we do not miss anything. So I'll say current user, and then here we would say what? User. Okay, now that we have this all set up, we can now try to get the timeline pushed as we wanted. Now that Amma is PC has frozen. Okay, so the PC has frozen. Okay, it's back. So now that we have Amma following Kofi, what can we do? We can now pick out Amma's ID, which is here, and then search. Okay, so as you can see here, we have all the ones coming from Amma and Kofi. Okay, but when we do it the other way around, let's see what we get. Okay, we also do get them because they are friends as usual, right? So now that we've been able to do that and work on this functionality, we can now bring the backend for the social media application that we were working on to a close, and then we can now move on into the fresher things, which is the front end. So if you enjoyed this video and if you understood what was going on, and also if you were able to get your stuff working exactly how you expected them to be, I'm really happy that was able to go on. Please don't forget to share this video, like, and also subscribe so that the algorithm pushes it further so that other people can benefit from the video. Thank you very much for staying close to me to this point, and hopefully I'll see you on the front end. Bye.